Today's episode of DuckTales was an interesting case. I liked one half of it a lot, actually, and I just could not stand the other half much at all. So let's focus on the half I didn't like first, and then we'll go back to that other half, and then I'll talk about why I think one worked and one didn't. The episode opens with Scrooge discovering... I don't actually know the three boys' names yet. I mean, I know what their names are. It's Huey, Dewey, and Louie. I just don't know which one's which. So Scrooge discovers the green one being super duper lazy, so he decides to take him to the money bin, which isn't just the place where Scrooge keeps all of his obscene amounts of gold, literal gold coins. But it's also like a research and development office. And while there, the green one spends what he doesn't realize yet is Scrooge's very first dime that he ever earned on a soda. And he has to run around the whole building trying to get the dime back so he can put it back in its cool little glass case before Scrooge realizes what he did. And this all coincides with something that's going on with Scrooge at the money bin today. This guy, who I'm sure is not going to be a recurring character, I actually imagine he's probably not important at all, is trying to pitch an idea for a new research and development project, a little bulb, an all-purpose robotic assistant. But his proposal is turned down by Scrooge's board of literal vultures, which was a pretty funny joke, actually. And so it looks like the only reason for this guy to be here is that he and his robot are there for the green one to trick him into letting him use the robot to help get the dime back, which causes the robot to evolve and turn evil. And like there was some funny stuff here in this plot. It was a chase. It was the Great Dime Chase, which is the literal title of the episode, I believe. Sounds right, anyway. I just looked this up before I started recording. I should know this. Yes, that is literally the title of the episode. Okay, just wanted to double check real quick. You know how it is. It's not like there wasn't anything good here. It's more the vibe that this plot gave off that I didn't like. And also, I don't know. I think the character stuff in this plot didn't really do it for me, with a couple of exceptions. I didn't really find anybody charming except Scrooge a little bit. But we'll talk about that again in a minute. The other plot, though, the B plot, I guess, technically, because it's the one that's not in the title of the episode, was way more interesting to me. The blue one, Dewey, I think. Is he Dewey? Because didn't they make a joke about his name being like the Dewey Decimal System in this one or something? I don't know. Whatever. He and Webby go to Scrooge's personal archive, which isn't supposed to be accessible to anyone but the librarian, whose name I cannot remember, and that really bums me out, because I really adored that character. Quackfaster? Mrs. Quackfaster? Is that what it was? It doesn't matter. The archive is not supposed to be accessible to anyone but her or the Duck family. The McDuck family, technically, but, same difference. And so Webby's never been able to get in, even though she wants to get in, to look for information about the family in general, but also specifically about the boys' mom, Della, which is what the blue one came to her to ask about in the first place. And I love this librarian character. Like, she's got an appealing design. The voice work is great. The animation on her is great. And like me, she doesn't know the boys' names either.
So the blue one seeks to learn of his past. But is he strong enough to learn the truth?
And she claims that they have to do all these various trials to get the information that they want. So she has them, reorganize the library card catalog and stuff. And it feels very much like maybe she is just trying to get them to do her job for them. But then it devolves into an action sequence, and they make one of the funniest jokes I've ever seen in anything, which is par for the course for this show.
This isn't working!
Here! Knowledge is the greatest weapon of all!
But it turns out that, in fact, she was trying to lead them to discovering the information that they wanted on their own, and they end up having to use the knowledge that they garnered doing the various tasks for her, the various trials for her in the library throughout the day, in order to open a secret room within the archive, which has all kinds of mysterious stuff in it, including a letter from Della saying that she has stolen a spear, the Spear of Selene, I think it was called, and that she's sorry. And now these two characters know two things about this person. That she exists, and that she might have betrayed Scrooge. And that's it. That's all the information there is about her. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, time is given to this plot. About as much time is given to this plot as to the dime chase plot. And it's fun. It's so much fun seeing them just screw around in this library with this new cool character that we just met for roughly half the episode. It's endlessly enjoyable, and yet throughout the whole thing, the mystery of this Della character is being hyped up. And the fact that we don't actually learn anything concrete about her doesn't feel like a letdown, because the ride getting to that small amount of information was so much fun. And while I feel like some of the character stuff in the A-plot was kind of weak, the character stuff here was really cool. Quackfaster was charming, and I like Webby, and I'm just going to go with Dewey. Webby and Dewey's dynamic. I think they have a lot of chemistry, for lack of a better term, with one another. They just work together in scenes. So it ended up elevating what I think would have otherwise been a really disappointing episode for me, because the other half of the episode is about Scrooge being the CEO of his company, and just straight up, not only has that been my least favorite part of DuckTales since the original show. Like, I always liked DuckTales better when it was being a supernatural adventure show. Just, it's more fun when it is. Nobody wants to watch a show about a corporate CEO these days. Nobody with any taste, anyway. Because straight up, this is an episode where Scrooge tries to teach the green duck a lesson about how hard work pays off. Like, that's the underlying theme of that half of the episode. At the end, Scrooge gives the green one what we think is the first dime that he ever earned. It's not really, it's a decoy. But because he had to fight so hard to get it back after he lost it, he appreciates it so much more than he would any other dime, right? That's the lesson. Hard work pays off. But we do not live in a world where people see full returns from their labor. We just don't. That's a fact. And so it doesn't feel satisfying when a cartoon tries to tell me that if you work hard, it will pay off for you. Because while it will in small ways, it won't otherwise. Now, I do get the sense that maybe their world is supposed to work a little differently. The literal board of corporate vultures. Scrooge was very at odds with them through the entire episode. It seems like he appreciates his employees, and he is so ridiculously wealthy that he spends his money all over the place, that he does redistribute his wealth back into the economy. And he keeps all these people on staff just because they're so nutty that he wants them on his payroll instead of somebody else's. And I think that's a funny character detail, but also it shows that he wants to give these people opportunities. In fact, one of the main conflicts between him and these vultures in the episode is that he refused to both dial back his own spending because he has the money to spend. He definitely does. He's fantastically rich, even more so than any of the fantastically rich people in the real world. But he refused to dial back his own spending or cut any of his employees to make up for that spending because he can afford to do both. These vultures just want to make as much profit as they possibly can. So this world, maybe it doesn't reflect ours. But if it doesn't, that's a curiosity. At the end of the day, I don't care. One of the things that I think this show missed out on in terms of opportunities, and maybe this will change down the line, but it remains true throughout the few more episodes that I've seen past this, is in an era where capitalism is failing people every single day, this show about an obscenely successful capitalist doesn't address that. It doesn't talk about that. And I feel like it could have and should have. And it bums me out that, at least as far as I've seen, again, maybe this changes down the line, it doesn't. But it does come from Disney, one of the most obscenely successful corporations on the planet. So at the end of the day, I don't know that I would expect it to in the first place. It can still bum me out, though, even if I didn't actually expect it to happen. The fact that it doesn't happen can still bum me out. But this is getting dangerously close to degenerating into a rant about politics, and while that may be appropriate for some videos, it's not appropriate for a review of a children's cartoon, unless, I make it the sole topic of that review, I guess, which I didn't hear. You get my point. I'm going to move on before I go off on any more tangents. This was a fine episode. It wasn't great. There was definitely some stuff to like in here, but it's probably the first episode of the show that I didn't enjoy the whole thing, or at least a vast majority of it, which feels weird to me. This is still a really good show, don't get me wrong. Like, it's extremely well made, and the humor is still snappy. It's just this is the weakest episode I've come upon so far. That said, what did you guys think of the DuckTales reboot episode, The Great Dime Chase? If you have seen it, let's get a discussion going in the comments section down below. And while you're down there, you might as well like the video and share it with anyone else who you think might enjoy my content. I'm trying to get myself out there, and I'd really appreciate it if you guys could help. And if you'd like to have a more in-depth discussion with me about the episode, you can do so by sending me an ask over on my Tumblr or adding me on Discord. Links to both are in the video description. Either way, though, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.